is, while I'm driving personalization, how do I maintain the privacy? How do I keep respecting my customer about their consent, about their what their interests, so that we make sure the personalization that we are going to offer the customer is relevant to what the customer interests, their consent, and make sure this is all aligned and fulfill the privacy law and also the customer interests. But the personalization have to go beyond basic. A lot of companies, they come to me and say, oh yeah, we are doing personalization, but personalization with first name, last name, I think probably almost all the company today is currently doing it today already. What we see now is, because every customer, they already see the personalization happening, the basic personalization happening, and it won't be able to help brands to drive further results, right? So personalization have to go beyond the basic. We need to start doing a lot of more content personalization with the customer. It's not just about first name, last name, but how to offer like an interactive experience with the customer in real time. And this is where we want to help brands to drive, all right? What happens if you can deliver an individual personalization experience in real time, not just about the name, but also a lot of content around the whole ecosystem of the customer, including, for example, like your mobile app, your website, or your advertising across the whole advertising network like Facebook, Google. How do you make sure all the messages are aligned across all these channels? But the reality is, good personalization, there is one very big assumption behind, and you need to build a foundation for it. The one of the key part is data. Because personalization needs to be powered by data. The more data you take into consideration for personalization, the better personalization results we can deliver to the customer, right? And reality in the company is, you might have like data silo, right? Having customer data spreading across different solutions, different systems. Another part is data quality and governance issue and privacy requirement. Like a few days later, right, the new privacy law is going to happen. How do you comply the latest privacy law and maintain the right consent management with the customer and maintain the good level of personalization is also the key issue. Another part is the internal requirement and marketing team requirement, which also keep changing because they want to provide the best experience to the customer. And a lot of time is about how do we make sure we have the right part of the data and give it to the marketer so that they can do the personalization across all the channels in real time and aligned. And all of this is coming to data chaos because teams are going to compete with other teams to get the data. We have the IT team want to protect all the data for the company, the marketing team want to get more data to do the personalization. So the demand and supply of the data within the organization is really leading a chaos for the business, or a lot of argument, inconsistency, or even effectiveness of delivering such personalizations. So what we want to do as an protocol, we want to advise brand to start looking at how to build a road of growth with personalization. Personalization or driving real-time personalization is something what we want to achieve at the end. But don't forget, personalization is need for data to power. So how can we build it to build the path to drive a better real-time personalization for the customer? So there's three key criteria here. One is to build the first-party data foundation, so that we make sure the data that you get is not just your customer profile data, not just your customer purchasing data, but probably their behavioral data across all the devices and their interest capturing across all different channels. So how to build the best first-party data foundation. And the second part is to build a single customer bill, right? I will jump into this later on to talk about the challenges and consideration, how we can build our path to drive a better real-time personalizations. So let's start with the first one, building the first-party data. A lot of marketers are asking, oh, get me access now to the data because I need to do my job. I need to execute my marketing campaign. So where is all the first-party data sitting in? And you can imagine, right, with all the first-party data, why is this a challenge? It's because there's so many data sources. I understand there's quite a lot of fintech banking industry here today. Even looking at the data source that you have, this is not just about mobile app, not just about the website, not just about the transaction, right? If I'm looking at just these three data sources, they're already spreading into different systems, probably, right? So how can we unify it? There's so many data across different channels. There's so many SDK that the team need to manage, right? So what should we do? Data are everywhere. So if you can imagine, if I want to make a harmonized data ecosystem, what the brand need to do? They probably need to have to integrate each of these data sources with each of the solutions, right? I need to have my website data available in my loyalty program. I need to have my website data available in my analytics solution. I also need to have my website data available to my marketing automation system. Just thinking about the IT resources, the technology resources that you need to put in to complete this integration is actually quite challenging, right? So what we want to achieve, what we want to bring to is to help you to unify it and build a better ecosystem to help you to do the integration. Another challenge when I speak into the brand is about data consistency. If you're looking at the chart on the left-hand side, it's very common because data field and data attributes from multiple different sources might give you different content, right? So how to unify it? For example, this one is a Universal Studio Singapore, right? My mobile app gives me USS, my POS gives me Universal SG, my website gives me Uni Studio SG. So how do we unify it? If you're considering putting all these data into a data warehouse, or putting all this data into a data mart, right, data are centralized physically in one place, but they are not harmonized because there's no way to merge these data together. So it's not just about consolidating data in one place, but how do we build the customer 360 by merging this data is literally the key to drive the success for your next time, okay? So this is the first step that we need to consider. One is about building probably use a CDP, and Particle could help is to build a CDP to help you, assist you on unifying all this data. And second, and Particle CDP can help you, is to help you to solve the problem of data inconsistency. Because the data quality issue or the data transformation of a CDP will be able to help you to standardize all the data source and transform in the right format so that you can merge multiple data from multiple data sources into one single profile and unify it. Okay? So this is basically the first step that we would suggest marketers need to consider, or especially if you have multiple data sources and multiple solutions available in your business. One of the examples here, Sophie is a fintech, is a digital bank that is based in USA. Looking at what they do, okay, they are building the personalized email campaign or personalized marketing campaign with high quality customer data, right? Before they using mParticle, they have data source from multiple data sources, right? What they're challenging exactly the data quality problem because the data field and attributes are inconsistent across multiple data sources. Once they unify it, you can see they can increase 30% of their conversion by doing solving the data consistency problem across their market stack. This is the result that we want to help the digital bank to drive a better result. So after we talked about the first part, the second part is about building the single view of the customer. We really start looking at, after we merge the data, how can we start planning a better execution? Another challenge that I would say regarding building a single customer's view is tracking. restriction in tracking the customer. You have the latest privacy law. You also have deprecation of the third-party cookie. Because if you don't have the third-party cookie, how can you track the customer behavior online? And there's also another challenge is the personalization strategy are not aligned across all the channels. So you might have running your email marketing team, you might running your mobile application team, and then you have your ad or advertising team running their own strategy. How do we help you to unify all these data channels about tracking and also access to the customer actions? So what is a good single customer build look like? I would say there's 4 key elements. One is you have to have all the data. When I say all the data, it's not just about unifying the data together, but in real time. Why real time is important? Just think about from a banking or example. I walk into a branch, all right? Maybe I'm looking for a bank loan or a mortgage, right? So what happens if I leave the bank and you need to advertise me with bank loan or mortgage information, right? You will need to start capturing the customer interest on this one and doing the real-time engagement with the customer. If you already know your customer just submitted the bank loan application, you should start engaging this. You should start engaging this customer with bank loan because they already complete the cycle. Spend the money, keep the budget on spending in other channels or spending in other topics. So after the customer got the bank loan, maybe you can offer them credit card. Maybe you can offer them other banking product, right? That is something that need to happen in real time. Another example is about travel. For example, I booked my trip to Hanoi, okay, this week. So because at the time you search about like the air ticket or hotel, all those like online travel agents will start targeting you over Facebook, Google, and say, oh, we have a trip ticket to Hanoi, which hotel is the best. This is happening in real time. But the problem is, once I finish my booking, all this tracking is still following me. I mean, all the advertising is still keep going on at least for another 3 days. Just think about from a travel agency perspective. If they can make use of these 3 days to promote some other add-on to me instead of keep promoting something that I have booked, you are better utilizing your ad budget into the right content, right? So this is where we want to bring the brand to. Same for banking. We make sure the data that we collect in real time and distribute it to all the advertising channel in real time to maintain a good customer engagement. And this is where we want to build a good customer content, right? So instead of like having different solutions of maintaining their own profile, what we want to help brand to build is really a customer 360 to looking at the data across all the channels, so that we have a full understanding of the customer interest, of the customer behavior, their transaction information, their web behavior, whether they have complete purchase of something, what should be the right next step to offer to the customer. So this is where a customer data platform will be able to help you to achieve. The one key important thing to consider is the bank or the brand want to collect more data from the customer, and customer will start looking at, oh, we shouldn't give data anymore, right? Especially a few days later, July 1st, I think everyone in this room probably knows what is going on in Vietnam. There's a new data privacy law that is going to be enacted, right? So another consideration is, as soon as I collect the customer consent and customer data, how do we make sure and give confidence to the company I have the right to use this data and manage it properly, right? I think a lot of management is start asking these questions. So this is down to the data privacy challenge, right? So there's a very long legislation that published online everywhere. There's a lot of things that we need to consideration, like customer consent, the right of the customer, how to manage them, and don't forget, okay, with our experience overseas like GDPR in Europe, CCPA in US, this kind of regulation will keep changing over time. they will enhance the regulation requirement. All right? Probably now is the first degree. Probably 2 years later, they will roll out some enhancement of the regulation. So these data privacy regulations keep changing. How do you make sure the system that you have, the data you have collected, and data you connected to all other systems are fully compliant with the latest privacy requirement? And these data privacy requirements will also impact to your personalization experience to your customer. All of a sudden, if your customer give you consent, you can start promoting. Well, that's amazing. But they have the right to stop it. They have the right to erase it, right? So how do you make sure you're doing all this in real time to make sure your company is not get into the trouble of these data privacy requirements? So these are all the examples of the data subject request I extracted from the legislation. So there's a right for the customer to know what's going on with the data processing, all right? The customer has the right to give consent and withdraw the consent. The right to do the erasure, all right? I want to delete my personal data with the company. But don't forget, one thing very important, if I do the erasure with the company, so how about the whole ecosystem that you have? How do you make sure your whole ecosystem, you delete the data across the whole ecosystem? What is the mechanism? Right? If you have delete your data, the customer data in your own database, that is only the first step. But you already sent your data to your marketing automation solution. You're already doing like custom audience with Facebook and Google. You're already doing like attribution with some tracking tools. How do you manage that in a scalable way? Right? That is really the challenge for the business of handling all these data privacy requirements. So in mParticle or a CDP, what we do is to assist brands to handle the data privacy or apply these data privacy control for the brands. For example, we centralize the consent record for you and we apply it to your downstream application. What kind of data can be forwarded to what kind of system? Because if you're looking at the data privacy regulation, right, the customer can give the explicit consent whether they want to be marketed, or want to use my data for analytics, or use my data for multiple different purposes. Each of the purposes are linked to multiple different ecosystems or different other technology. So how to control of what to send, what not to send under what situation, this kind of consent management is need to happen in real time. Second is about the data subject request forwarding. I take erasure as an example, right? I give the example right now. For example, customer go to your mobile app or like the online banking app. Oh, I have my profile here. I need to erase. I want the bank to forget me. Not saying I'm going to close my account. I still want to maintain my account with the bank, but I want you to forget me across the advertising ecosystem. So how do you work with like in the same time, in real time, to delete all these data across the whole ecosystem, right? This is where the customer data platform will be able to help you centralize managing your customer profile and distribute this consent and erasure into your downstream application so that it gives you confidence on, yes, this customer data is deleted in the whole data ecosystem, right? This is important because that is a time requirement for the bank or for the company to execute such a request. And if I remember correctly, it should be 72 hours. If your customer give a erasure request within 72 hours, you need to complete all the actions. How do you do it if I do it manually, right? There must be a scalable way to do so. Well, CDP could be one of your considerations on how to manage these data erasure and data privacy managing tools. So the second step, build the single customer review, and very important is to make sure build with the confidence on the data privacy compliance. Okay. So one of the examples that we have is Venmo. Venmo is part of PayPal. I think a lot of companies know about, a lot of people here know about PayPal, right? Have you used PayPal before? Yeah. So they have a fintech application that is in US called phuong. And phuong is using mParticle to build their 360-degree and use our solution to connect with all the applications that they have in their whole marketing ecosystem. You can see we're helping them to collect 130 million plus events every day, right? So there's so many requests available and so many, if I remember correctly, they are connecting mParticle with more than 15 different applications that they are doing promotion and engagement with the customer. So it's a very effective way for them to manage all this kind of data consent with mParticle, and also because we help them to build the customer's the 360 degrees of the customer view with all the data source, we end up helping to increase 30% of their engagement with the customer. So only after we build the first two steps, the first party data validation and single customer view, now we can start looking at the real-time personalization. And as I said before, the personalization must go beyond basic. It's not just about the name, as I said, not the name, not just the data field that you have, but the all-around personalization across the whole ecosystem. We want to help you not just distribute the data to downstream application like marketing automation or ad system, not just for data privacy requirement, but we can also help you to distribute all this data for personalization purposes, right? So if you're connecting to all the ad network, your marketing automation, SMS channel, silo, okay, how do you make sure your customer data across all these applications are standardized, are unified, and give a unified, at the end, give a unified customer experience to your customer. Another part that I think the brand might probably need to take consideration is to add AI and machine learning or personalization to help you to try to predict better on what the customer is going on, what the customer like, what will be the right time to engage with the audience, when are they going to do most likely to purchase. As I said before, this kind of AI machine learning could be done in multiple different applications. You can do it with marketing automation solution. You can do it with Google and Facebook when you place an ad there, right? They can also help you to predict what the customer interest. People will ask me, Alfred, why we need to do the AI machine learning engine to get on the CDP itself? One simple answer I will give it to them is because CDP will contain your first party data. All your first party data. We have the most data available here. As I said before, the more data you have, the more accurate result that you can generate, right? So this is why CDP will also provide this capability for brands to consider building their AI machine learning modules within the CDP system. Another one is real time. I keep mentioning about real-time personalization. Why real-time matter? Just considering, right, there's so many data flow in the whole ecosystem. Take abundant shopping cart example, okay? If I want to make an abundant shopping cart, and at the end, I want to send these abundant shopping cart results and trigger a campaign. There's so many steps that the brand need to execute. Once the abundant shopping cart event happen, right? The user need to be identified, validate the data, update the data, merge with the 360 degrees of the customer that you have today, update the profile, create the audiences, and very important is check the consent. Whether you got the customer consent to engage them, send them email or send them an SMS or engage them over Facebook and Google, do you have that consent? And at the end, now you have the right to start reaching out to the customer. The whole process, right, without the assistance of a technology solution might take you time to verify the whole process. But with the assistance of the customer data platform, you will be able to complete the whole process within 400 milliseconds. Okay? This is why the real time is important, because the real time will help brands to capture the right moment to engage with the customer. One example we have also in fintech is called buy now, pay later technology. So they built the real-time engagement with M-Particle assisted with AI predictions. We help them significantly increase over to predict the right group of customer to target, and also increase the purchase rate for those customer over next 3 days or want to make a purchase versus those customer who is not targeted. So we help them to build a better ecosystem of making better use of their advertising budget to target to the right audience with the right result. So this is the first one with Hanoi. The second one that we have is our HBO Max, right? HBO is, I think, a lot of people might know, they're doing like media streaming business, and they're also expanding in Southeast Asia as well. So they use MPOT to connect to, I think now it's more than 10 different tools across them, and also they're launching into five different regions. I think the HBO, right, the key challenge that they're facing is to standardize the multiple market or multiple business team, their requirement on doing the marketing campaign. So with the help of MPOT, each of the department or each of the country will be able to select their own marketing tools as they wish, because MPOT has already helped them to build the first-party data foundation. It's just a matter of, oh, I want to use these two for like Vietnam market, I want to use another two for Philippine market, and we just help them to do the data distribution. So give the flexibility to the business, and at the same time maintain the security of the data and control from the IT to compliance with the data regulation across multiple countries. The last story or the last use case that I want to give you is about Whopper Tour. How many of you heard about Burger King? Have you eaten before? Yeah, right? So Burger King, this happened like 3 years before. What they want to do, they want to target the customer who walk into McDonald's within 600 feet of McDonald's, and they want to target it. Target them with a push notification on the mobile app, with a coupon, and say, instead of going to McDonald's, come to Burger King, I give you a fee, almost free Whopper. They started at $0.01 US. Okay? In short, what they want to do, they want to get the traffic from their competitor to their store. MPOT assists them along the way, right? We help them to, first of all, collect all the first-party data. Second, we help them to collect the real-time location where the customer is now in. Orchestrate, right? We tell all the ecosystem, because we do not distribute the push notification. We need to tell the push notification company, oh, this customer is within 600 feet, we need to deliver a push notification together with a coupon code. But where is the coupon code? The coupon code is in the POS system or the coupon generating system. We need to, in real time, work with the coupon system to generate that coupon code, unique coupon code, and distribute to the customer. And after the customer open the mobile app, click on the push notification, we need to also collect back the insight and push it back into the analytics solution. This is what Burger King want to achieve there. At the end, we help them to drive 600 million downloads, 300% more mobile order value by doing this Whopper real-time targeting campaign, right? Why we can achieve that? First, it's because real-time. Second, it's because of fun, right? When I step into McDonald's, I get a push notification, you're driving back to Burger King. That's good, right? But Burger King is basically the start for MPOT, because after we launched this campaign with Burger King, there's so many fast food restaurants come to MPOT and say, I want to do the same, because of the better user experience. For today, in Vietnam or in Hanoi, you can also reimagine how to apply these concepts into your company. If you are running a bank, what happens if your customer using your online banking or mobile app and they walk towards to your competitor bank? Can you give them a notification and say, oh, instead of go to that bank, come to my bank, I offer a better interest rate for you if you do the deposit with my bank. Right? This is something that can be done in worldwide by leveraging what we have done with Burger King. It's completely different, like completely different business or completely different industry, but we can make use of this experience and see whether this is a funny thing or interesting thing that we can apply into the local market. So at the end, just a quick introduction about MParticle. MParticle is a customer data platform that we help brands to manage data across the ecosystem. We do 4 key things. 1, we help brands to consolidate the data from multiple sources of system. We provide API, SDK to really centralize all the data collection from multiple systems. So once we collect the data, we do 3 minor things here. 1 is transforming the data, make sure your data quality is right. Validate the data schema. We help you to do identity resolution and make sure there's only one of your profile stored in the system. After we build a unified customer profile, we help you to maintain the data quality, or what we call add value to your data. Because once you build a customer profile, right, what next is try to predict what the customer wants to do or how to enrich the customer profile to make your data more valuable. So we do the data quality and also add value to your data. The last part, data governance and privacy control. Before the data sent into all these applications for customer engagement, we help you to manage your customer privacy, customer consent. Okay. So this is what MParticle does. Or as I mentioned, we are a company headquartered in New York, US. I'm coming from Singapore. We are certified by ISO 27001. We are also certified by SOC 2 to maintain the data privacy requirement as needed from different countries. We're also working with multiple and different types of business. As I mentioned, we do fintech, we do banking, we also do a lot of like media business, QSR, retail, e-commerce. MParticle, we have set up a table outside of the room, all right? If anyone interested to discuss more, please feel free to find me outside of the room after this session. Thank you very much.